Thank you so much for sticking with us this afternoon. We've had a great series of pitches throughout the day, and I'm so excited to welcome our next presenters on board. My name is Elizabeth Dickinson. I'm associate editor at DevEx, based here in Abu Dhabi, and covering the Middle East as well as African continent, our coverage there. So every day, in this industry, we get to write about some of the new innovations that are happening in education. It's such an honor to be here today to listen to from the founders, from the innovators themselves, to hear about what are their next steps, what are their initiatives that they're undertaking. We also have an esteemed panel of judges today, and I'm so grateful for their time in being here. We have Mr. Tariq Al-Gurg from Dubai Cares, really a giant in the region, and I personally am a huge fan of their work in education and emergencies, so great to have you here, thank you. We have Ms. Irina Angel Enescu from the Southeastern European Private Equity and VC Association, who gave some great feedback in the last session. Looking forward to her comments as well here. Andrew Doust from the Vice President of Strategy at Legatum Foundation, also based here in Dubai. I think it's great to see how much great philanthropic work is coming out of actually the UAE. So that's a great voice to have with us today. And finally, we have Ms. Ayla Goxel from the Mother-Child Education Foundation. So thank you so much again. And with that, I want to turn the floor over to our first presenters. I will also excuse myself for a reason I know that this audience will understand. I may have to duck out early to pick my son up from school. So I appreciate Emma, my colleague from Varki, for taking over the moderation when that happens. Thank you so much, and please, if I can invite you to the stage.
Hello, good afternoon. Can you imagine a place where teachers are fully respected by society, where they are encouraged to work on themselves, to be initiative, where they want to awake a spirit of free thinking and develop a sense of personal responsibility to their students? Not only teachers at the universities, but also teachers at kindergartens and primary schools, where all this curiosity and love for learning begins. I'm Katrin, and I'm going to tell you how we are trying to change Slovak educational system bottom up. Let me tell you a story about Michael. Michael is 18, and he wants to become a teacher. It is quite rare in Slovakia. His parents, they don't support him because teachers aren't respected by society, they have very bad salaries, so they are not supporting him. His classmates, well, they are making fun of him. Pedagogical faculties in Slovakia, they don't really have a good name. People usually just take them for granted, keeping them a safe option if they don't get to any other university. But Michael wants to become a teacher, and he starts studying at this university. He wants to know how to bring critical thinking into the classes, because Slovakia, or Slovak students, has gained one of the lowest level of reading literacy within OECD countries last year.
I'm sorry to interrupt you quickly. Sorry, excuse me, the audience, if you could please take your conversations outside. We want to give the full attention to the presenters, please. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you, sorry.
Don't worry. He is at the university, but all he got was 5 boring years of theory, and he could do 30 class hours as practice, and that's it. Well, but finally, he successfully finished it, and now he can become a real teacher. He goes back to his hometown, even though staying in the capital of Slovakia would give him twice as much salary, and if he would have a job in the private sphere, it would give him even more. He starts teaching, and he sees that nothing really changed since the time he went to the school. Well, how could it change? Well, it has been 28 years since the fall of communism in Slovakia, and since then we had 18 ministers of education from 10 political countries, and 10 of these ministers didn't stay in the office more than a year. Well, he also sees that students are very passive. It's perfect if we want to educate lawyer workers who don't ask any questions, but if we want to educate creative individuals, it's not so perfect. He thinks that maybe if he rearranged the room, it would be better for the students. So he decided to put a carpet into the classroom. He had to buy the carpet for his own money because school doesn't have a budget for it. And students like it, teaching become a little bit more exciting, everything seemed fine, but after 2 weeks, a headmaster calls him and asks him about the carpet. And he's like, carpet? Oh, no, we can have carpet in the room. It is not hygienic, and students has to look at the board in the straight angle. So he's trying to argue that students really like it, that he's using different techniques, it's frontal teaching, but it doesn't work and carpet has to go away. Few years has passed like this, and he's trying to encourage and motivate his colleagues to do something innovative for the school. But all his colleagues are tired, burnt out, frustrated, and right now they are busy protesting for higher wages. And now let's stop. What is going to happen? Option A, is he going to stop teaching and start working in business? Option B, is he going to be shortly burned out? Or option C, is he going to find a support somewhere? I'm sorry to say that in most cases, it is option A, they are going to start their own business or starting working in a business, or option B, that they will be burned out soon. Well, but for teachers like Michael, teachers who have vision, courage, and energy to do something differently, there is Komensky Institute, and that's where we come. Komensky Institute is providing 20 pedagogical leaders of Slovakia with excellent one-year-long study and support to reach real changes in school communities annually. We point at important problems in Slovak educational system, and through practical solutions realized directly by teachers, we demonstrate possible ways of solution. What we do? We give them the training they didn't receive in school. Before the program, we made a study with Slovak teachers of what they really need, what would help them. The answers we get a little bit surprised us, because teachers were talking about how to do the power management, how to communicate with students, how to use my power, how to talk about critical thinking, how to bring it into the classes. So what we do during the year is that we realized 4 social workshops on different topics and 1 summer school. We also have online meetings during the year. And we bring excellent lecturers from Slovakia and Europe to these teachers to talk. We connect teachers who thought they are alone in it. We work with participants from all over Slovakia. These participants are with different teaching qualifications, different years of practice, but we believe that this various group support our aim. Teachers who have a lot of experience can share their point of view, trainee teachers can come with new ideas, and school management can put it all into a Lego frames. We accept only 20 teachers annually because we put great emphasis on individual approach. Well, there are many teachers already in Slovakia who are doing great things, and it is very important to talk about it. Many teachers in Slovakia complain that it will take decades to change. And maybe there might be just a little room of what they can do it, but our teachers are doing it. And every teacher at Komensky Institute has to realize a pedagogical micro-project in their school community, in their class, in their school, which way they can show a visible, real change which can be done already within the system as it is. For example, Lubka, she is a headmaster, and she is supporting participative forms of management. So actually students can decide how should library look like. Or Lenka, and she doesn't like the evaluation by grades, so she is inventing a new method of how to evaluate. All of these micro projects are designed to be replicated by other schools so we can inspire and have bigger impact. We give every teacher a financial support and a mentorship to implement these micro projects. By doing this, we point at important problems in Slovak educational system. We cooperate with media and opinion makers. We promote good teaching examples. We want to show the positive changes And indirectly, we take part in policy making by advocacy and cooperating with different NGOs, opinion makers, and education experts. Right now, Slovakia is in a preparing new educational policy, and a lot of educational experts are also lecturers in our institute. So by talking with our teachers, with our participants, they get inspired and we can offer them solutions of what they can do differently. We also organize local conferences and we are preparing a publication. Altogether, we strengthen position of their role in school communities as well as in general public view. In Komensky Institute, we believe that excellent teachers create excellent schools. A study from Institute of Education at London University examined influence of environment and learning of children between 3 and 11 years. Results, beside other things, shows that quality of teachers is much more important than quality of school facilities. That essentials are not more pretty textbooks, more tablets in classroom, or better prepared tests. The key are the teachers who have skill and competence to change educational system bottom up, with cooperation with students and parents. Right now, we are finishing first year of Komensky Institute, but it is not 1 year long project. Its aim is long-term education and support of pedagogical leaders of Slovakia. After the end of first year of studies, we want to offer an alumni program for our participants, and these alumni will become mentors to new participants so they can help them with micro projects or different teaching dilemmas. We also want them to organize local seminars at their schools, at their regions. This way, we can slowly create a growing network of pedagogical dissidents or pedagogical leaders, which will serve for mutual support, exchange experience, and know-how. 1 year of this program costs us around 70,000 euros. Our corporate partners and private donors consider education as a priority in our country. Therefore, Komensky Institute is free for all its participants. We have an interest to build a long-term corporate partner and also to offer a partnership to this partner. We include our corporate partners into the system so they can offer mentorship to teachers, and we have meetings on a regular basis where we talk about a Slovak educational system. I'm talking here a lot about changing bottom up, about pedagogical dissidence, but I wanted to highlight that we are not hippies who have their dreams and who are very idealistic. We are pleased to say that Komensky Institute is under auspices of Slovak president, which makes us an important subject in the field of Slovak educational system. For decades, Slovakia has been in totality regime. Political dissidents represented islands of positive deviation and highly contributed to state liberation. Now we want to give all the support to pedagogical dissidents. So together we can change the dying system of Slovakia.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Your presentation made me remember, I think, one of the dissident teachers that I had who probably set me on a very important path in my way. So I am sure in our audience had similar memories. Let me turn straight to the judges. I'll start with you, Tarek, if you want to offer some feedback, and then you can reply directly to each judge.
Hi. Is your institute certified by any government authority?
It is certified by university because we want to actually to be part of preparation of new teachers. So it is certified by pedagogical faculties, but not by government yet.
So if a teacher, let's say, graduates or gets trained by your institute, will he get a certification that is approved by the education system of the country that he's qualified to give some certain type of teaching?
Right now, only students who want to become teachers, when they take part in our educational system, they get credits, and it's all certified.
And the teaching is on which levels are we talking? Pre-primary, primary, secondary, which?
We have a group of 20 people, and it's mostly primary and high school. It is not university, it is not kindergarten, but we also have an interest in to have more and more trainee teachers or teachers who are becoming to be teachers.
So you train teachers to become trainers in order for them to train teachers?
No, not
So train the
trainers.
trainer model?
No, like students.
Oh,
Students, primary school and high school.
okay. And do you work closely with the Ministry of Education?
We try to communicate with him. We work closely with the team who is preparing this new policy of changing educational system. But with the minister, it's more complicated. We have a new minister for like few months, and it is more
Yeah, I
complicated.
heard. And whatever teaching methods you're training those teachers, is it in line with the curriculum of the ministry?
For the teachers or for the...
For the teachers, yeah. So the training that you're providing them.
Well, that's what we did. We did study before of what teachers really need.
Yeah.
And we found out they don't need to learn different techniques, how to learn different math. But they need more soft skills training, that they need more, they don't know how to communicate, they don't know what to do with their own stress, with their burnouts. So I think we are offering them an alternative which should be part of the system.
To the other judges.
Katrina, thank you very much. I resonate very much with your presentation because I'm from your part of the world. And even though I was maybe a little bit too soft for the other pitches, I will not be soft with you because I love what you do and I think that there are a couple of things to improve. Tariq's comments, I think, are a confirmation of my desire to push you a little bit. You listed a lot of stories and good reason for what you are doing, but in my opinion, you missed what differentiates your work from similar work which is needed in other parts of the world. I mean, low pay, ministries of education which change frequently. I think these are common problems for the education system everywhere. But I remember a couple of years ago, I met an educator who was a Montessori teacher for my son, and who as a student went to Czech Republic immediately after the fall of the communists. And she taught there for a while. And then she went and did a master at Harvard, if I remember correctly, and she wrote a paper about the Czech education system. And the insights that she shared from the perspective of a Western, of an American who spent time in the Czech Republic, which probably is quite similar to what you experienced, I think that would make a huge difference for the minds and hearts of the people that you are pitching to. Because what you need to emphasize a little bit more is the part that you touched at the end of your presentation. The fact that the education was basically destroyed during the totalitarian regime in a manner which I don't think we experienced in other parts of the world at the similar magnitude and for such a long duration. So basically, you are offering support services for people who go into this profession against all odds. And then probably, I suspect, I didn't hear it, but I think you create a community of these resistant, resilient people who don't have only to fight the fact that they have low wages, but probably they also have to fight the headmasters, as you started to mention. They fight the parents, they fight the students in a very specific way after the critical thinking was killed the systematic way that it was killed. So, going back to the feedback, sorry for pleading for that. So, excellent storytelling for the particular stories, but what I would like to see more of are your eyes. You know these stories, you live them. You don't need those papers, honestly. And talk a little bit more about what we have been through, because people don't know. You know, we are part of the European Union, right? So this already says a lot about the GDP being higher than many other countries. Why do we need more help? Why is this more important there than in other parts of the world? You know why. And this is what you do brilliantly. So congratulations on your work. And if you can emphasize a little bit more the specific details of the conditions in which you are operating, I think this would make a huge difference. Thank you.
Thank you again for your presentation. Can I encourage you to tell us everything you need us to know in the first 2 minutes? So tell us very quickly what the need is. Tell us what that is the need that you're trying to, the problem you're trying to solve. Tell us what you need, because I still don't know what you're asking for at the end of this presentation. And paint us a picture of the vision that your work helps address or contribute to. And if you can do that in the first minute or two, I think you'll have us hooked much more quickly, and then we'll be more interested in the detail that follows, because I actually got quite lost in the detail. It came out in the beginning. I was thinking, I'm not quite sure where this is going and what the landing point is. So if you can get to the end point much more quickly at the beginning, I think it'll actually help. And from what I understand is that you, really picking up on your comments too, is we've got a country that has lost a vision for education and how it actually helps develop and transform a society. And we've lost that in part because of the bureaucratic changes, but we've lost it because teachers have lost that vision as well. And so I think what you're trying to do is address the challenge of teachers actually not having a vision of what teaching, effective teaching, looks like. And if you can help reinstate that in a handful of teachers, what it'll do, they'll be change agents in the Slovakian education system who help point to others the power of good education models. And if that happens, then you can start transforming the system. Now, that's just the beginning part. I guess I wanted to know a bit more about what's the transformation model. Once teachers have been unleashed and you've shown people the difference between good teaching models and, you know, the old models, once they've seen the power of that, how does that become embedded throughout a whole system? Now, you're early in the journey, but if you can help me see that, I can say, great, I'm going to invest in 20 teachers, but over 5 years, that's 100 teachers, and those 100 teachers are going to be set loose into a system and can begin to transform it over the next 10 or 20 years. But I'd like to know more about how you're going to release that community to change the world or change the Slovakian education system. And I'd like to know how much it's going to cost more quickly and what you're actually asking me for. Thanks.
Thank you. I could sense your passion and your conviction of your argument, so thank you for that. And I loved your statement at the end about how political dissidents have represented islands and positive deviation. In fact, I have it in front of me. And now we need pedagogical dissidents because they're the ones that are really going to challenge challenge our future and how we're going to go about it from here. So I do get your vision, and I think it's a valid one. It would be fantastic if we could hear a little bit more, maybe later on, about the metrics. How are you going to say, this was the vision, this is what I set out to do, and this is how I'm going to prove that I've done what I set out to do? The other thing would be, 20 is a tiny, tiny number. And you're spending 70,000 euros, did you say, on 20? Is that right? That's about, what, 3,000, 3,500.
But also with the conferences, the publication, and also with the financial support for their micro projects, so it's more broad.
Okay, so it's not just going, that 70,000 is not just going to...
No, it's also going to their students, to their classes, to their schools.
Okay. So maybe at some point you can talk about what it means per, because otherwise, for 20 teachers or principals, 70,000 can seem like a large number, especially when you think about how you need to scale it up if you want to take it to a larger number. But thank you.
Great. Do you want to respond to any of those, or shall we turn to the audience for it?
Well, I don't know if I should respond, so maybe I will just give you a little bit of the Slovak context of education. The system, which was built in Slovakia, was built within a motto, like, be quiet and just listen what everybody says. And this is what you can actually see in the classes. That the students are just there sitting, and the teachers, they are not they don't have any motivation to do anything differently. They don't have anybody who is going to look at their jobs of what they are doing. Actually, like, the door closes at the class, and it can be anything there, and they have to just listen and listen and listen and listen, and that's it. There is no innovation, there is no passion. We are talking here the whole conference about how to raise global citizens, but I think that Slovak teachers or Slovak students, they don't really think about it. They have to learn a lot about biology. There is no, like, a concept of the project learning or anything like this, because they are still learning by the old method. So this is, like, the situation right now.
I just have a question. Look, no matter how much you're going to train teachers, if it's not embedded with the government system, you will face another challenge. There are a lot of challenges. I was talking earlier about children are being ready for school, but that's in the early stages of life, of course. But the schools, even they have to be ready. They have to be a proper system. So if you want to start, this is a very good start, in my opinion. I agree with Andrew. I still don't understand what you require right now. Is it funding to train more teachers? Do you have a target of training 100 teachers? Are you working in government schools, private schools, social schools? What kind of schools? And if it's in government schools that you're working in, does the government know that you're training government teachers? Or are you getting other teachers teaching in other kind of schools or government schools? So there has to be some clarity, but my advice to you, you have to be part of the system. If you want to change the system, be part of it. Pitch to the system. That's what is required. Yes, you might need funding now in order to get your model right, and you have to, first of all, also extract some evidence to see if this really works or not. Maybe you think it may work to give some kind of a new pedagogy that may work, may not work, but you have to have some kind of investment into that research component also. But you really have to know what you want. Do you have a certain target in mind? That's the main thing. And being part of the system. Don't be against the system. Convince the system that they have to change by providing the evidence. That's my point.
Well, we are not against the system. We are part of the system, and we would love government to support us. But the thing is that every teacher in Slovakia is complaining that, oh, it will take decades, I'm not going to do anything, I'm just going to sit here and wait until it changes. And we think that it's not time to wait, that we have to do something. So that's why we started this. And our vision is to work with the leaders, because we want leaders to show how it can be done. I think it is very important to have some kind of critical mass of parents, teachers, and maybe starting government who wants to change. And when there is a critical mass, it's going to be easier. But right now, there is not.
I'm just going to say, changing culture is really hard. And that's, I think, what you're trying to do, is change a culture in a country that hasn't valued education for many years. And so I'd get you to rethink your model in terms of a cultural change model. I think that's what you're trying to do, create a few change agents and go in and make the difference. But really follow that right through and say, what do these change agents need to kind of infect thousands of others, including those in the system who hold the strings to the system? Because it might be the disruptors that actually help move them along. But what are the tools those change agents need, and how can we invest in those? I think you've already alluded to some of them already, but that's what I'd love to nail down on, is this cultural change model that begins with these 20 teachers that are kind of like the first wave of an army to bring about change.
And speaking on the points that have been raised, I can understand the limitation of the relationship with an inconstant government for the region, but I think that you still can leverage the idea of community for changing the mentality. I don't know how feasible it is in the short run to talk about changing culture in that part of the world, but accelerating, catalyzing a change in mentality, I think this is what you guys are working on. And maybe you want to talk a little bit about the numbers, because the country is pretty small, so I don't know to what extent people know how many teachers are there, giving a little bit more perspective.
So we actually cooperate a lot with the main advisor of the Minister of Education. We don't cooperate with the minister, but with the advisor, who is also a lecturer in our institute, and he's also a mentor to some of our students. And in Slovakia in total there is 70,000 teachers, which is quite a lot. Slovakia has 5 million people. But I know this is 20 teachers directly, but these 20 teachers has also 20 colleagues. And on the conferences we organize, there are 400 people. On the working with media, we know how much publication we have, how often we go to TV. So we are kind of trying to be the voice of people who are trying to change something.
Okay, thank you very much. That was an excellent presentation, and thank you to the judges for those very constructive comments. We're slightly pressed for time, I'm afraid, but if anyone in the audience does have any questions, please feel free to find Katrina afterwards and ask them to her. But at the moment, we are going to move on to our next speaker, who is Keren Wong over there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to Katrina. Thank you, and Keren, over to you.
Great. My name is Keren Wong, co-founder and CEO of Bridging Education and Mobility. Good afternoon to my esteemed panelists and His Excellency, the Minister of Education from Nepal. I am honored that you are here with us this afternoon. Thank you for your time. So while I am an entrepreneur, I still am an educator at heart. So as a quick classroom warm-up, by a show of hands, and please, my panelists included, to measure background knowledge on what I'm about to present, can I see by a show of hands how many have heard of the mobile application WeChat? Okay, so less than 10%. Okay, great. Next question, how many of you have it downloaded onto your phone? Oh, significant drop, maybe 5%. Okay, how many have actually used it? Ooh, significant. Okay, last question. How many of you have paid your electricity bill on it? No one. Okay, I know that last bit sounds a bit random, but I hope that by the end of this presentation, you'll see full circle with the power of what I'm trying to deliver. Okay, so diving into my content, my organization is Bridging Education and Mobility. In Chinese, we call this 学院桥. 学 means to learn, yuan is hope, 桥 is a bridge. It means a lot for me to be here today as a representative from Beijing, from China, for many reasons, including that Mr. Ronnie Chang, as one of the top 50 members, finalists for the Global Teacher Prize, is here from Hong Kong, and one of our very own top 10, Ms. Boya Yang, is here. It means a lot that I feel that there's China representation at conferences like this. And I hope that in addition to explaining what I'm personally pursuing, you get a bigger landscape on education technology in China and the disruption we're trying to create. Okay, so let's get started. Our culture respects education, it values learning. Many of our teachers are excellent at producing excellent academic performance, teaching to the test for a limited number of students in a resource-limited country. So we're looking at a country where about 300 million rural children, of that bunch, less than 40% are probably gonna make it to high school. So to give you some sense of scale right here. We're also starting to know that as our society changes and standards and expectations change, teaching to the test is not gonna be enough. We know that teachers need continued learning. Professor Amir's, I believe, paper that was published 2 weeks ago, action point number 7, emphasizes in a professional trajectory, continued development and learning is key to improving the quality of our teachers. But based on my time spent in the field and from larger surveys, including BCG and the Gates Foundation, we've identified 3 critical pain points that prevent this from occurring. Those are lack of time, lack of relevance, lack of ideas and motivation. For a multilingual audience, I hope that the little icons make it for you. So I'm positive, starting with the first one, anyone else in this room who is a teacher knows that the day-to-day grind, and for many of my female counterparts, family obligations make it absolutely difficult to want to go home at the end of the day and read a research paper or read another book to engage yourself as much as you want. We know that time is a constraint. The second pain point, we believe, yes, there is push and there is initiative, but how much good is a once a semester training really doing? What do we need to do to support that so that what we're actually learning in these training semesters gets taken home, gets applied in the classroom, transforms learning quality? And thirdly, for the teachers who are excited, for the teachers who do want to learn and make a difference, how easy is it to get discouraged when you feel like you have a good idea, but there's no one to turn to for support? So I hope through this you can understand and maybe perhaps identify, if there are educators in the room, what pain points we're experiencing. And before I jump into the solution of how we're trying to tackle these problems, I'd like to give some landscape about how much we're already spending and how many teachers are affected by this issue. So take a look with me here. Beam right now has decided to take a specific focus on equipping English teachers. There are a couple reasons for this. First, we believe that preparedness for the rest of the world, as China gains influence in its economic and social presence, fluency, or at least preparedness and willingness to study English is critical. Secondly, English teachers in their worldview and by nature, as studiers of a foreign language, are open to spend and ready to learn. And the education bureau's backing behind them will follow suit. So this is where we're starting. So national statistics count our total service available market, we list as public school teachers, K to 12, at about 1.4 million teachers. Again, China is a huge country, so perhaps trying to give a sense of what we're dealing with here. And this year, breaking into the market, we've decided to focus on third tier city and below. If you're not sure what tier means, tier refers to the size of the city and the economic presence a city has in ranking in China. So we decided to break into that third tier city and below market, and that target market for China is quite small, 280K teachers. And what is being spent so far? I want to first point out two national trends that are occurring to help you understand where these teachers will be going and how many there may be in the future and what kind of demand there will be. The first is, in the end of 2015, as some of you may know, China reversed its one-child policy. It now allows citizens without fine to have 2 children per family, and this is starting to take effect. The size of students, population, are increasing. Secondly, so in suit, we would like to make some assumptions that the demand for the number of teachers will also increase. Secondly, an interesting trend, I think many of your countries have this as well, with the national entrance, university entrance exam. The Chinese government recently removed English as a requirement. There's a lot I could say on this, but for now I will confine it to the teachers who will stay committed to preparing their students in English preparation need that support. Who is going to give it to them? Secondly, the teachers who decide not to present this information and stay committed just to teaching to the test, that's a gap that's going to grow. And in either case, there's a sense of urgency for us to take action right now to delivering this content in an accessible way to them. And so looking at our target market, if you look at the second figure here with this little book, it represents, there's about 400 RMB, that's an equivalent of about 50-ish USD spent per year by an individual teacher out of their own pocket on how much they may buy for books or a few online classes a year. The third figure here is listed as 1,400 RMB a year. That is about 225 USD spent annually as a stipend provided from the Education Bureau for an individual teacher to spend on professional development. So if we add up how much is available for a teacher per year, look at our very small target market of 280K, that's about a 500 million RMB per year possible revenue. And 500 million is about 80 million US. And that's not a small amount, but perhaps a little small for China. Okay, so that's not a small amount, and we're knowing that teachers want to learn, but they can't keep up. And as a result, students are suffering. So turning to our solution, I like to explain, around this time last year when I was at GSF as a Varkey Fund 2016 recipient, my business partner was back in China rolling out our first tests. It's really exciting. And we began rolling out a co-creation platform for teachers, specifically English teachers, to provide them with quality pedagogy support and subject matter professional development in a community. And so we'd like to propose by 3 unique value propositions. The first is learning by doing through convenient delivery and community support. The teachers who are obtaining this content, who are obtaining this material, will be able to systematically and sustainably implement it in their classrooms to produce improved student learning. And so in the past year, we began rolling out through WeChat. There's a couple of screenshots / demos here for you to see. If you don't have it on your phone, I'll explain how it works later. A little basic information about how we deliver content to our teachers and how they interact with each other and with us to demonstrate the results they've achieved in their classroom. So, all on their phones. But what is WeChat and why is it so special? I'd like to demonstrate that in China it's actually a conundrum in many senses. It's a very famous quote saying, one China, 3 worlds. There's parts where you've got the world-class education and world-class infrastructure, and there are parts where there's hardly running water and paved roads. But I'd like to suggest that one thing that China interestingly has done quite well with is mobile infrastructure. They've leapfrogged the desktop, they leapfrogged credit cards, all into being on smartphones. So if you look at Alibaba and Tencent, Tencent is the parent company of WeChat. There's a lot of business opportunities that are being rolled out. But I'd like to suggest, instead of just asking farmers to buy more on online spending, why don't we use this channel as a way for teachers to deliver and receive high-quality content and training? This is a really quick diagram. If I have more time later, I'd like to return to it. But what I'd like to draw out as a main point is that several other, which are now standalone apps, which provide training and classes, started on WeChat. When they reached about 80,000 paid users for this one and 500K users on WeChat, and both are ranged similar pricing to ours, around 1,000 RMB, they took it off WeChat into a standalone app. So what I'd like to suggest is that our infrastructure makes it much easier and lowers the cost for testing and bootstrapping so that we can A, verify that our content makes sense, B, build an online 2C presence, and win the trust of education bureaus. And the key point is that of our target market, of those 280K, and perhaps almost of that 1.4 million, over 95% of our users have this downloaded onto our phone. So I'd like to emphasize, we're not asking right now for teachers to start something crazy and new. The barrier to entry has been lowered significantly because of this platform and the way we've been able to operate on it. If you want to look up, there's a really great article by Andreessen Horowitz, a VC based out of Silicon Valley, that covers just the magnificence of WeChat. I promise I'm not here to market it, but rather to get you up to speed. So the landscape is fascinating, but I don't have entirely time to cover it. So please find me after if you're interested on how the technology actually works. But over the past year, what we did, we first rolled it out to about 1,000 individual teachers. So we took the 2C, to consumer direct route. And we had about teachers that would pay about 20 USD for a 2 to 4 week course. And the course was delivered, as you saw on the screenshots before. Not working, that is working. Interacting with each other as they learned the curriculum, quickly downloading the information through the platform as well. And of those individuals, we had over 80% retention rate. That means over 80% of them had one experience with the course and came back to at least 2 or more courses. And we had incredible testimonials of what was happening in the classroom. I'd like to suggest that why our curriculum works is that because it's special, it's new. And what I mean by that is that right now the majority of interventions for English language learning through phonics or picture books are entirely foreign. They work because phonics, as I grew up in the States, I learned reading phonics, but I learned it as an English native speaker. That doesn't work for children who are in China, who are in 3rd and 4th grade, learning English as a second or perhaps third language, because many of them speak their local dialect. So what we've done here is to take the curriculum, align it, and co-create it with teachers across the country into a nationally aligned curriculum so that English language learning can be done sustainably by public school teachers in China through phonics and picture books. And a few months ago, we actually caught the attention of 2 education bureaus in Gansu province, which is in the west of China. We began talking, and soon they agreed to systematically implement our community and our content into their education bureau area for 600 English teachers, which is impacting about 80,000 students with revenue of 1,000K US. This first client deal, comes with the support and commitment of the Education Bureau to measure their commitment to measure the improvement or changes in improvement performance for their students. And it comes with the commitment to operate offline workshops in addition to what we were able to provide online. And I believe that's absolutely necessary to have government buy-in when we're operating in China, particularly rural China. So it's a really big milestone for us. Excuse me. It's a really big milestone for us, but it's just, I hope, what is first of many, many. Our team, as you can see, is young and very hungry. We're uniquely positioned because I believe we're a team of practical idealists. That's what I like to call us. We've seen from our own schooling experiences and the research we've conducted that there is high quality English learning material out there, but to actually localize it and to actually execute and deliver on it is a new matter. We're hungry, we want to see it happen. and that's why we're committed to it. So I believe we're on to something very interesting, and to move us forward, we'd love your support. I have 2 asks today. The first is support in content curation. At a forum like this, I know there are many educators committed to improving English language learning, particularly in countries where English is not your native language. I'm expanding my content curation team. If you have suggestions, I've met a few lovely people over the past few days. I would love to continue the conversation that way. And the second one is, I believe we're on the brink of scaling. I'd love to achieve at least 15 more Education Bureau partnerships by the end of the fiscal year. And with that comes a lot of dealing with operations and expanding in tech. As you can see with the other apps, a lot of them didn't really scale off until they reached about 100K users. We'll very likely take that route as well. I believe at the very end we will need a standalone app, but that's not in my plan for the next year. Either way, I'm delighted and honored as again, both as an entrepreneur and representative from Beijing and China to be here. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you very much, Keren. That was great, and some very impressive numbers for the size of your organization and age of it, and doubtless lots of interesting stuff for our judges to get into. So without further ado, I'd like to pass over to them, and please just continue a back and forth as before. Thank you.
You're starting with me. Fantastic presentation. Well
Thank
done.
you.
I can see that you're very passionate and you're articulate and you really believe in this. It took me a while, though, to understand exactly what you were doing. I thought, first of all, it was like an online platform and teachers were just talking to each other, and then I realized that you're actually providing curriculum and books. So, I mean, that for me was a little bit fuzzy at the outset. The 15 plus education bureaus in this fiscal year, that sounds, wow, like really super ambitious.
Mm-hmm.
How are you positioned to undertake this kind of scale up? Do you have a team in place? And the question that I would add on to that, you said that, did I understand correctly? The Gansu province or the Education Bureau, they also wanted you to do workshops. Is this in-person workshops or online workshops?
Okay, so can I check with 2 questions? The first is, the 50
How are
plus
you going to scale up to
education-
15
okay.
plus?
And then what are the workshops? I'll answer the second one. The workshops are conducted and sustained by local, and they're in person on the ground, but they're conducted by the local education bureau. So in education
So
bureaus,
it's not you that's doing it.
there's a department dedicated to teacher training and curriculum development. They are committed to it, they just don't know what to teach and how to teach it. They've committed for the next year, the ones that have signed on, to teach our curriculum and make sure that they're checking in on teachers and that they are, whenever they do an offline workshop, which is at least about 3 times a semester, they're checking in on the material. The first one, I believe, I agree with you. It's an ambitious goal. I absolutely agree. It's going to take us it's about 7 times the size we are now. And yes, that's why I am putting a team in place. My next big goal is, with the amount of experience and connections I have in the tech sector in Beijing, to bring on someone to optimize that operations. And in addition, because some of our grantors, donors in the past, very likely they have connections with their hometowns. The way that funding tends to work in China is that donors have geographic presence. And usually there is a suggestion, we would like to expand in this area. We're committed to sustaining and funding you to expand in the area. And so it's through the existing success of this first Education Bureau partnership that we will invite other education bureaus by the end of this semester to see the success and give them an offer to replicate.
Just one final small question.
Yeah.
So your business model, at what point will you break even or, turn a profit, whichever?
Likely by the end of the semester. Yes. Thank you very much for your questions.
Yeah, great presentation, really well structured. I guess I'd offer similar feedback as I did the last presentation. I'd love to know at the beginning what I'm up for. And I was waiting, where are we going with this? And I didn't quite know. So I'd just like to get the sort of the short version at the very beginning so I know what I'm listening out for.
Though, does it take away I appreciate your feedback. Does it take away the anticipation, or do you really genuinely think 30 seconds or less? 'Cause I considered it, but I thought it would kind of break the
I think it helps me tune in to what I
Okay.
need to know to answer the questions that I'll have in order to make a
okay.
decision. So I think it actually just tunes my ears. That's me anyway. Maybe others will have a different view, but I get the sense that you want to kind of do the reveal and build the case. But actually, in this context, I'd go less is more. You gave us a lot of information. It was great. We didn't need to know as much. A couple of points. You told us the training for test is a problem.
I'm sorry,
Training for test is the problem that
Training
we're
for
trying to
tests.
address. I didn't understand why teachers would think that's a problem, and why the market you're seeking to reach would actually care about spending any of their own funds or anybody else's funds on this solution. So I think you told us already that the requirement for English is no longer required, and so therefore even the incentives for teachers to invest in this, I'd just love to know, why did you think teachers I should say, will care to invest in this and develop their skills in this area, and why they want to move away from a train to test model? I hope they do, and I think it's a great goal, but I just need to understand why you think the market will value that as well. It would have been great to know at the outset, hey, we're a for-profit company, and we're going to make a huge impact on the way in which education, especially in English, happens in China. And then if we use this English model as a way to show a different way of delivering education, continuing education for teachers, if we do it for English, what else can we do it for? Because it's a really bigger transformation model here. And it's actually about how do you reach 1.4 million teachers with continuing education in China. This is the kind of case study of how it can be done. And when I think about it that way, I think, this is really worth investing in a kind of pilot to see if it can be done. The other thing is just in terms of scaling up, you've got 3 people, fantastic, young, hungry team.
Sorry, partners.
Partners, sorry. 3 partners? Okay. And then what does it look like
What
to
is our
build
team
out?
size right now?
Yeah.
Our team, with the number of content curriculum developers, about 5 other teachers. We've got 3 on our operations team, and then 2 working on tech.
Yeah, and so it'd just be good as a potential investor, what's the sweet spot? When we go to 100,000 users, we're going to need a team of X. But if we go to 200,000, we only need 10% more. There'll be some sweet spot in the finances there. And the last comment was you said you had 2 asks. One was content curation, and I didn't actually get the second ask. It was something around technology, but I wasn't quite sure what it was you're asking for. If it was money, it would have just been good to get a price tag on it.
Okay, thank you. Were there any questions you wanted me to have to respond to, or? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Keren, thank you so much. It was inspiring. It was full of energy. A couple of things. As it was already mentioned, I think you would have saved some time if you would have disclosed from the beginning the fact that this is a for-profit operation, or it's not.
Can I ask how you perceived that? To be honest, this was a test case. I did not include any information about, and I just presented what we're doing. I'd love to hear your opinion on what
Is
triggers.
it a for-profit? I got the sense that it's for-profit.
Can I ask you guys first what you thought made it for-profit? Is that okay?
Yeah, the fact that you referred to the number of users and the app, isn't it a for-profit? I had the way you structured it made me think that it's a for-profit. Am I wrong?
We seek to make profit to reinvest back into our business to expand it.
That's fine, but it's a for-profit. But the fact that it's a social business doesn't mean that it's not for-profit, right? The fact that you use the proceeds to fund the expansion in the first phase, I mean, yeah, we like it. But the fact that you ensure some of the sustainability through producing profits, I think this is something that you should market a little bit more at least for my taste. Maybe the traditional NGO funders would be less appealed. But for me, it would have been, especially considering the market on which you are operating, I would have enjoyed hearing upfront about this and maybe flashing a little bit more numbers, because I bet you have some numbers which sound impressive. In terms of the pitch, it might have to do with the fact that for me, I think it's the 6th or the 7th I'm hearing today.
Thank you.
But at a certain point in time, I think I was a little bit lost in the level of details. I appreciate the show of hands and the link with the classroom, I really do. But I think we don't need the full set of questions about WeChat. You can get a flavor if you ask only 2 of them,
Okay.
just to be able to focus a little bit more on the rest of them. And what I'm interested, if you don't mind, is to learn a little bit if you have plans to expand it outside China. Now, I strongly believe that WeChat is expanding. I'm a user. But some people are not. So what are your plans to produce impact, the various kind of impact outside China?
Okay, so the question was, outside China, what plans do I have for impact? I do believe that this model could be transferable to other countries which are struggling to deliver training for English teachers around the world, but I would also, I'm at a dilemma. Would I first either expand this to other, as you mentioned, subject areas across China? I believe that would be much easier to do. I believe unless I have government partners in other countries, I would not push to expand this because of the ease for the first. And as again, I believe that what makes this sustainable is alignment with national curriculum. I've seen firsthand how hard it is to use a British phonics system to teach a Chinese 5-year-old. And unless we have commitment to localize it from other countries, that would not be on my agenda as a priority.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I agree with them. You're going to lose the listeners if you keep on not mentioning what do you want from the beginning.
Okay.
It's true you have to build a story, but as the previous Katrina, was it? She built a story of that boy and how he grew up and then he became a teacher and he has 2 paths. Trust me, whether you're an investor or you are a philanthropy who's going to give a grant, you don't need to listen to all the story. You need to see a model which works. And to me, anything that works has to be aligned with the government. That's given.
I agree with that.
And if you don't work with the government, I'm not really interested into looking into any proposal. But then you have the investors who are looking maybe into social investment or maybe into profits, into the pockets. And I agree with them. I'm an ex-banker. I worked 12 years in banking before this job. And from your pitch, it's, to me, I don't know, it's very clear that once this app picks up, you're going to approach maybe Google or something and sell it for $1 billion or so. This is how it sounds like, you know? I don't know if you guys agree with me.
I did not realize I was giving
No, I don't know, but you know, this is what's happening in the world right now, you know? I have a few questions, and one of them was related to yours, actually. This is an app which is working only in China, right?
No, we test
The
our
implementation, I
content
mean.
through WeChat, and WeChat is an app that is most popular in China.
Yeah.
But it's used elsewhere as well. But the highest penetration rate is in China.
And you're part of that app, or how's it?
Yes.
How are you connected with the
we
app?
run a mini program through the app itself.
Okay. And then the teaching that you're providing, is it aligned with the ministry?
Yes.
I know you mentioned the Education Bureau, but is the Education Bureau connected with the ministry into
Ministry of Education sits atop at
Yeah.
the national level. Education bureaus
provincial?
are county. Provincial is in the middle.
Oh, that's even more grassroots.
Yeah. But yes, our phonics curriculum is aligned with the People's Education Press curriculum, which is the most widely used national curriculum in China.
And let's assume you get the approval of the 15 bureaus. How many bureaus there are in China?
To be honest, I don't know the answer to that question.
Just a range between 100 and 1,000.
More like several 100,000.
700. Thousands. So 200, 300,000 bureaus of education.
Please do not cite me on this. I can honestly say I haven't thought it through.
But definitely more than 1,000 or
Yes,
10,000.
yes, far more than that.
Yeah. Again, if this is a new model and you want to position yourself as a pioneer, it's a great idea. If you have competitors, you really have to re-look into your strategy. There has to be capacity to deliver all of this.
Yes, I agree.
And trust me when I tell you, if you're looking for grants to expand, forget the business model, the profit side of it, you need to be aligned with the government, which I see you did a great job aligning yourself with the Education Bureau. Yeah, other than that, this is it. And is there a strategy from the government for English to be part of the teaching, part of the curricula, going online or going digital?
Yes, the Ministry of Education already has MOOCs in place But the reason those fail to deliver is because, like I said, with most of the government training, there are 50-long-minute videos, and I've firsthand seen teachers press play and turn around and play mahjong and drink tea while the videos play in the background so that the video finishes. I've also seen that the content they use, they're not using in their classrooms. But yes, because the infrastructure for mobile is there, because there is funding for smart boards, because there is funding for internet, these are not problems that we have to worry about.
And I assume these teachers get certified from the Bureau to be teachers teaching in English?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you both to our speaker and our judges for those insightful questions. Sorry to again take away the democratic element of audience questions, but the point of this conference is that everyone can meet everyone, so please do go and find each other afterwards if you have any follow-up. Can I, however, do a very quick show of hands with the judges and the audience? Very simple question. Would you fund this project? Hands up if you would, please. Yeah, you're going off very little here.
You have to tell us money, you have to tell us time, and some kind of a mini strategy.
To be honest, I would love if one of you could sit down with my business plan and help me think through that. I am not a banker, but I'm committed to learning those skills. So if someone would like to help me figure out my valuation.
Being a banker, I'll give you $1, you give me 50% shares, and then...
That definitely counts as an investment.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.